Welcome to my 2023 gaming setup. As you can see, it's changed quite a bit since last year, and I can't wait to go through everything and show you what it looks like. Let's get straight into it. So starting from the right with the most recent addition is this little server rack that I've picked up. Basically, I have a few things in here that I would normally have on my desk or on a shelf or whatever it might be, and I thought it would look better to have it actually physically mounted in a rack. It'd be a bit more secure and yeah, just a bit neater. So to start with the bottom, we've got 3 Eaton UPSs, the same ones I've had in my previous videos. And they also just connect via USB to both computers, and they tell them to shut down if there's a power outage or anything like that. Directly above it, we've got a little drawer, and that's just got some cables and some manuals and some spare stuff from the rack. I like to keep it all in there just in case I need to access any cable ties or anything like that while I'm working in here. Directly on top of that, we've got the Xbox One S, the same one I've had for years now, basically since they came out, and it's still running fine. I can't believe it. Directly next to it, I've got the Nintendo Switch, which I basically leave in here pretty much full time. It only ever gets used on the dock. It doesn't get used in handheld mode, so there's not really any need to have it in a place that's easy to get out, so I just leave it there. In the next row, we've got a Synology NAS. This is a DS1821 Plus NAS with the quad-core Ryzen CPU in it. It runs pretty well. It's got about 25 terabytes of storage in it at the moment, which is enough for me, so not really any reason to upgrade it yet. On top of that, we have the Xbox 360e that I've had for even longer than the One S, probably about a year or two longer. It's still working fine. I don't really use it for a whole lot. Sometimes I like to pull out the Kinect or whatever it may be, so it's just good to have right here in case I need it. Right on top of it, we have an empty shelf where I'm waiting for a switch to arrive that will go in here. So this is going to be a 24-port switch. I'm just going to chuck that in there for PoE to power a few different things. It's got a little SFP direct attached copper cable just sitting there waiting for it to arrive. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of stock, so it's just taking a while to get here. Might be a few more months before I get it. What that will be connecting to, though, is this Unify Dream Machine Pro, which I've had for a year or two now. It's been running really well. It runs basically the whole network here. The security cameras, the wireless access point, all the wired devices I have in the rack as well as the 2 PCs. And I really love the little screen on it. So you can scan this with your phone and you get like an AR overlay of all the different ports and what you've got plugged into them. That's really helpful for troubleshooting devices or anything like that. I absolutely love it. Last 2 things in the rack is the little brush panel for the cables. They just hide in there so they're not too, ugly, I guess. And right on top of that is the PDU, which has all the power ports that I use. So that is basically the rack done. On the right of this rack though, you'll see this subwoofer that I've had for basically every single one of my setup videos. It's the same system, the Logitech Z623, and I've got some extension cables so it connects back to the speakers here and here. Also next to the rack, we have these cables that I've got tied up going back and forth between the rack and the computers and all that. The reason I've done this is basically because I have a standing desk. So if I tap this button here, you'll see the whole desk basically starts to lift up, which includes the PCs. I just got this desk about 3 or 4 weeks ago and I absolutely love it. It's from Secret Lab. It's their Magnus Pro XL, I think, and it is amazing. It's all metal. It's got a metal desk pad that's just magnetic, so it just sticks on like that, and you can get a few different types depending on what style you want. It looks really nice and it's super stable. And my favorite part of this desk is the little cable management thing here, the little hinge thing. You can lift this up and you can put all your cables in there and access them if you need, or you can just close it back up and you would never know they're there. So it looks super neat and it holds both my PCs on the left and on the right. And as you can see, the cables are pretty well hidden behind them. You don't really get much of a ugly sight when you look at it from the front. So it's really, really nice. So in terms of accessories for this desk, I've got the headphone mounts for my wireless headset, which I don't really use anymore, and my amazing wired headset, the DT770 Pros from Bear Dynamic. I really like these headphones. They sound so good. They're super comfy and super light. And basically anything you watch or listen to with these, you'll pretty much just hear something you've never heard before, because they sound that good. I definitely recommend those. Moving up, we got the same setup for the mic, the Rode Procaster with the PSA1 stand, and the PSM1 I think is the shock mount, and the WS1 windshield. I think I got that right, but that's basically what I've got for the mic. And I've got a long XLR cable that just goes straight over to the Go XLR, which I'm using at the moment actually with a wireless Go receiver. You can kind of just see it there. That's where my audio is coming in at the moment. I've got a little lav mic. I still get all my amazing
effects and that sort of thing if I want those.
So they're pretty cool. In terms of monitors, I've changed them a little bit. These ones here are the same though, the GW2270s. I still think these are amazing value. They're about $100 and you couldn't really tell if they're not IPS because they look so good from every angle. And yeah, I've just not had a reason to upgrade them. They've served me so well. Next to it though, we've got a new 27-inch monitor along with another 27-inch. So these are both 1440p monitors. This one here is a ROG X something. I'll have it on the screen for you guys. It's a really nice gaming monitor that does 170 Hertz. On the right of this one, we have the console gaming monitor, which is 165 Hertz, whereas this one was 170. It's basically the same. It's got G-Sync as well and DisplayPort, whatever you really need in a gaming monitor, basically. And yeah, I just use it for consoles like my Xbox and my Switch, and it looks really, really good. So aside from monitors, let's go up to the top of the desk. We have the same webcam I've had forever, the Logitech C920, still works fine. I would prefer to get a proper DSLR or mirrorless camera at some point just to run through a HDMI capture card like the Camlink. I think that would look a little bit better for any sort of streams and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of other content I'd like to capture in better quality rather than just using a phone camera at the moment. I've still got the Kinect sensor over here as well, which is really good for a webcam. The only thing is that it has a really high field of view. So I don't really like using it for Zoom meetings and that sort of thing. It kind of just makes you stand out a bit too much for my liking. I do like the key light though. It's really good to have that on for any sort of streams and that sort of thing. It just lights you up a lot better than the room would otherwise because the lighting in here isn't too great. But of course we still have the VR stuff set up. So there's our little base station number 1. That's just mounted up there nicely. And I've got another one over here in the other corner, which does the same thing. And this is the Valve Index version, so the Lighthouse V2 basically, which is pretty much the same thing, except it's a tiny bit more accurate and it doesn't have as much interference with the Kinect sensor, so I can get away with a lot more in terms of VR. Down to peripherals, as I said, I've still got the same Logitech speakers that I used to have. This is a bit new. It's basically the cheapest DJ controller you can get. It's a Pioneer DDJ-200, I believe. And it's pretty basic. It does a little bit of stuff, I guess, in the DJ software. It's fun to sometimes just load some music up onto here and mess with the effects and filters and all of that. It's pretty cool. Next to it, we've got the Stream Deck, which has all my scenes and my transitions and my key light controls and that sort of thing. That's just for the streaming PC down there. I've also got the other one for my main PC, and this is more of general stuff like keyboard shortcuts. Like these ones here move windows between different screens, and it's got all my Go XLR settings and some other controls for, CPU and all that sort of thing. Right next to it, I've got a new addition, which is a Kensington Verimark fingerprint sensor. This basically just adds Windows Hello to a desktop PC that wouldn't normally have a fingerprint sensor. So that's really good to be able to log in super easily. So if I just lock my computer here, I can just tap this right. Let me just get it in one shot for you guys. I can just tap that and unlock straight away. Of course, I've still got the same mouse pad, the Logitech PowerPlay mouse pad. And this actually was not compatible with my desk, believe it or not, because the metal of the desk, because it's magnetic, it interferes with the charging on this. So what I had to do is I had to get another mouse pad just to put under it. Just a basic SteelSeries one. That just goes across to there. It's pretty simple fix, but it does the job fine, and now my mouse charges, so that's great. Speaking of mice, this is a Logitech G Pro wireless mouse. I've got one of these at work as well. I really like the G Pro wireless and the weight of it. It's really nice. Over here we've got the audio switching box I bought. I've still got no idea why these are so hard to find. It's just basically switching audio between two different outputs from one input, and it's not that complicated. It's not powered or anything like that. It's just really hard to find these for some reason. But anyway, over to the keyboard now. We've got a Corsair K70 Mark II with Cherry MX Red switches on it. It's really, really nice to type on. I actually quite like it. And I think compared to my old Logitech GH10 keyboard, I've actually gotten a little bit faster, probably another 10 words per minute on this one compared to the Logitech, which is really, really nice. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. But other than that, that pretty much covers everything on top of the desk. I've got a wireless antenna here because I was sick of the ASUS one that came with the motherboard. It was so flimsy, so I just bought another one that was a bit more sturdy and holds up a bit better. I've got the VR input here, so I can plug my VR headset in right there if I need to. And let's go down to the PCs then. So I've still got the same streaming PC here, which has a 2060 Super. You can kind of just see it there. It's got a 3900X CPU, and it's got 32 gigs of 3200 megahertz RAM, and it's in a what is the case called? It is a Fractal Design Focus 2 case without the RGB. So I had to get this case along with this case here, which is the same model, just the RGB version, specifically because of their weight. So this desk, it only holds a maximum of 15 kilos on the PC mounts themselves. So in order for that to work, I had to change out both my cases so that I could mount them. It seems to be pretty sturdy now that I've got them in here, and it looks really, really nice, I think. It's just that you can't really see the glass from the left side because it's covered up by the wall anyway, but yeah, it looks nice, I think. As for my gaming PC, this one has had a little bit of upgrading. So it's got the same motherboard, the Crosshair 8 Hero Wi-Fi. It's got a Ryzen 9 5900X CPU. It's got a Noctua NHD15 Chromax Black CPU cooler. It's got the same 64 gigs of RAM at 3600 megahertz, and what else? Same Seasonic Prime power supply, 850 watt, I think. The Ultra Titanium one. Other than that, it's just the graphics card. So the graphics card I went with was an RTX 4080 Strix non-OC version. So the only reason I bought this card is because my 3080 was basically about to die. It was having driver issues and display output issues, and it was just crashing games and all these other things I was trying to do. So I went with this because it was in stock, and it was pretty much as close as I could get to what I had without having to buy something used, and it seems to be pretty good. I really recommend it, but I would wait until the prices go down a bit. These are not cheap at the moment, and it's not great. And that's pretty much it for the PC itself. So yeah, I have all my cables going down the side, as I said, and if I want to move my desk higher, that's the max height there, or if I want to go lower, I can do that. Go all the way down to level 1, and it goes all the way down to the bottom, and it basically fits perfectly. It's so nice. There you go. And that's pretty much it. I think that's the whole setup. So the only things that I might have missed, I think, is the LED strips on my rack and on my desk at the back. So the ones on the back of the desk are from Secret Lab. So they just partnered with Nanoleaf to build a magnetic LED strip for this desk. And you can stick that wherever you want on the desk. It's just magnetic, so it works pretty well. As for the ones over here on the rack, so these are ones I got on eBay. I just cut up the length that I wanted from a 5-meter addressable RGB strip, and I ran it around here, all the way around the rack, and it connects to a 12-volt controller. So I just ran that cable over an extension to a little card on my PC. You can see it in the bottom slot here. You can just see it back there. So it has a 12-volt connection for the RGB strip. It's pretty much impossible to see, but that's where the power for the LEDs on the rack comes from. So it just turns itself off with my PC, and that's really, really nice. I love not having to run LED strips on timers and that sort of thing, because the one on the back of the desk has to be run on a timer so that it doesn't stay on all the time, whereas this one I can just use with the PC. It's a bit better. So yeah, that's about everything. So thanks so much for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed or if I helped out in any way, and maybe consider joining my Discord or following me on Twitch. Anyway, that's all from me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.